and what things should do judges need to know that are different from judging at an in-person tournament?
So I think much of that will be a part of the technical briefing that will be happening on the 17th and on the 19th for both divisions before the rounds get started. So 17th we'll do a full briefing led by the organizers of both of the divisions with CAP and TAB team chirping in. And we'll have a brief reminder on the 19th just to make sure people haven't forgotten in those 2 days. But in general, the debates should go similarly to how they are offline, except we won't be in person. The exact details of specific things that may happen if people's network doesn't work and so forth, that would be a part of the technical group.
I think just to add to that as well, for everyone here who might have already seen it, we have released a set of debate and judge briefing slides. And there are a few slides in there that talk about how, for instance, style, which is very much aided by the fact that you can typically see someone in the flesh, that's obviously going to be slightly different. So we've included some guidelines that are unique to an online WSDC in terms of what we should still consider to be good style and how to evaluate that, but also what shouldn't be. And so if you've already seen it, fantastic. But if you haven't, it would be good to just check that out as well, because that would be slightly different from a previous WSDC that you might have judged before.
Sorry, where has that been released? Because I only joined the Maya Facebook group, a few days ago. So where has that been released for the judges? Because we've had to swap things around a little bit.
Great question. I believe it's been sent out on the WSDC mailing list and will soon make it onto the Facebook page. So if you haven't seen it yet, not to worry, we'll very shortly, we'll make sure immediately after this session, we'll pop it onto the tournament Facebook page itself, and you can find it there.
That would be really useful.
And if not, just knock us over the head and we'll send it to you.
Okay. Can I just as well then, when the students are debating, do they not need to have their cameras on? Or would that be preferred?
So as a general rule, we do want cameras to be on. That's the best way to be able to. So again, you'll see on the slides what we would be taking into consideration if the cameras are not on. But both from a style perspective as well as just a general debating perspective, it does lead to a more effective presentation usually when the camera is on.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah, certainly we had a training the other day and I was like, can you switch your camera on? And one of my debaters was like, oh, my camera's broken. I was like, well, you need to get that fixed. Yeah, we want to be able to see it. Yeah.
I think one of the things that was recommended was, A, get things fixed, and B, make sure that you have enough bandwidth so that you have stable connection. So obviously during the tournament, if having a camera on comes at the expense of the stability of the connection, we may ask a person to just go ahead and shut the camera off, but everyone should try to get that worked out in advance.
Let me just jump in here. In addition, it is good for the student to have at least 2 devices. So let's say the person is debating on a laptop. The phone that the person has should also be workable. So in case the laptop fails, you can use the phone. And in fact, I've asked my student to have 3 devices, 1 laptop. Maybe they go to a parent's office to use the desktop. The desktop is better. I'm using a desktop. And so it's a lot larger and the mics are a lot more high quality. So, but some of my students are using the phone and because they think the phone is more powerful. So they should have at least a few devices where they can have the assurance to go onto that device if one fails, right? So that they may be kicked out because of the bandwidth, and then if they change the device, it might be better. So the last resort is if the person can't be heard, what we'll do is we'll tell the students to go on what we call FaceTime. So he will be literally calling somebody and talking to somebody, and that he will be speaking to the phone, and the phone will be put near the mic So you can't see the person, but you can hear the speech. That's the last resort. If they're kicked out and if they have no cameras and all that. But it's best for them to go get it fixed. You have about 8 more days. So they should find devices or go to a place where the devices are strong and the Wi-Fi is strong. Preferably there should be some office building or some parent. That's what I'm doing with my student. They are going to the parents' office because it's home office. Nobody's there, so they can just use it.
And just a quick further comment on that. Whilst we strongly prefer that students do use their cameras, if there are reasons outside of their control where they can't, we've specified that we don't want judges to mark students down on style simply because they're unable to appear on camera. So in that instance, students are marked on style based on the things that the judge can still assess them for, which is a wide range of options, you know, around language use, around general persuasive ability, and around volume and speed of their speech. But we don't want to further punish students who, for technical reasons beyond their control, can't use a camera. So that will be clear in the judge briefing as well.
Can I just ask a question about that? If that happens and judges end up being able to see some debaters but not others, should the judges still take into account the visual impact of those that do have cameras, or ignore the video, ignore what they've seen for all debaters in that debate and just judge them on the things that we could judge the ones who don't have working cameras on?
That's my preferred answer, that for those who do have cameras, they take into account the visual stimulus, and for those who don't, then they don't. I mean, I recognize that does mean that there's a different comparison going on between speakers in some senses, and that's unfortunate, but I think that's going to be part of the reality of the tournament moving online, and I hope that most, if not almost all, students can have a camera, but I think we can just be upfront about that and say that those who can appear get judged on the audio and visual, and those who don't just get judged on audio. But yeah, that would be my suggested preference, and maybe Kex or Varshini or Josh, do you just to double check that you agree with that?
I think that makes sense, and I think it's just as Paul says, it's just the nature of the reality. But I feel like there are many ways that speakers and judges can be quite true to the spirit of all schools. For instance, the most obvious analogy that comes to mind is, you would imagine the style of a speaker very different if they were a TV presenter as if they were a host on radio, and both of those can be done in good ways and can be done in bad ways. And so, if for technological reasons, it's going to be one over the other, I don't think that stops us as judges from being able to evaluate persuasiveness in the context of how well are they using that medium. So yes, admittedly, the medium is going to be slightly different, but I think I'd still prefer evaluating that medium as a whole. So definitely agree with what Paul says.
Can I ask as well, last year as a manager, I was asked to fill out an evaluation sheet on the judges. Will we still be asked to do that this year?
So each team at the end of the round will be asked to fill out evaluations of the judges in the round. So that's usually done by a coach. So coach to manager, whomever you designate to do that will do this. So maybe one thing just to fill the void to add is, from a judge's perspective, Varshini mentioned this, but it is a little bit easier perhaps to lose track in some cases when it's an online format as opposed to if you're offline. Just like sometimes it's easier to hear things even if the audio quality is clear on video compared to if you're there in person. So maybe judges do need to pay attention a bit more closely. One additional thing I would add is, especially the chairs would probably need to, again, be aware of the fact that they'll need to be ready for specific things that might happen, like technical issues. So if someone in the middle of the speech suddenly cuts out, we will have student volunteers acting as chairpersons. The chair will also need to kind of be aware of how to handle it. Pretty much pause the debate at that stage and then allow the speaker to come back in and begin from that point after you stop your timer. Again, this will be a part of the technical briefing, but adding a couple things.
If there is a situation where either a judge or a debater declares that due to a technical problem they couldn't hear a certain bit of a speech, what are the procedures then?
So what should happen is, so obviously they should not be waiting until the end of the debate and then suddenly say, I couldn't hear, from 2 to 8 minutes. I think that's probably not okay. In general, and I guess others, if you disagree, please stop me and say you disagree, because this was not a part of the initial discussion.
Okay, can I answer that? Okay, so what happened is, in the Maya division, there are 2 safeguards. The first safeguard is the judge himself. The judge can write on the Zoom chat here to say that I can't hear the speaker, or I'm dropped out. So you can write the Zoom chat, and then there is a volunteer from Anglo-Chinese Junior College who will be there as a chair, and the chair would that means it's just the chairing the debate, right? As a student, the student will know that that's written. Okay, then the person will alert VAT. VAT is our digital director, and then that person will be asked to leave and come back in. So most of the time, if it's you're not being audible or you can't hear others, it's because of the Zoom connection. So you just come back. And if it takes 1 minute, 2 minutes, everybody just suspend and wait, and the chair will stop the time, and everybody will know. And so either the chair will tell everybody, hey, we're going to suspend the debate, or the chair will inform the chair judge that debate is suspended until the judge comes back. Right. That's the first option. The second option is all the judges are already in a Maya group, Maya division coaches and team manager group, and there is a group for judges, team judges, and invited judges or independent judges. So that judge has been kicked out. We just type on the Facebook group, hey, I'm in room 5. My name is Joseph Park. I'm a judge. I'm kicked out. Can you put me back in? So once the VAT, the digital director, sees that on the Facebook group, of course, the person who does it must be very accurate. Which room, what name, and what role he's playing, and then the digital director will rescue the person by putting the person in the exact room. So the communication is very cut and dry. Don't tell me who you are. Don't say hi. Just say, I'm this person, I'm this room, I'm this position, I'm a judge or I'm a debater, I'm kicked out, put me back in. Then VAT will just put it back in. So those are the technical things we will discuss, in fact, on 17 and on 19, just to make sure that everybody's on the same page. This is all been discussed, and we have done all this thing. Okay, rest assured that we are not naive. I've done 6 online tournament, and we have done this. VAT has done it, so all this will be managed, and the whole point is to make sure that the debating experience will not be interrupted as often as it should, right? And when there's interruption, we try to smooth it by getting people back on, and then to carry on. Be assured that we will not let anyone be disadvantaged as a judge or as a debater when the debate happens. And it's not going to be a big problem because we're doing 1 round a day, and so a bit of delay is not going to be a big problem. Unlike the weekend tournament that we do 4 rounds a day, and even that we can get it done. So that's the answer I'm going to give you. Thanks.
So I think in addition to that, thank you, Luke. I think Mark seems to be asking about a situation where a debater doesn't drop out, but then for some technical reasons doesn't hear something. What they should do is they should say immediately within that Zoom chat, Zoom room, say that they can't hear. They can shout it out, type it in. and so forth, and then the chair should stop, then fix the technical issue.
So what we also encourage the teams to do is, of course, because of safeguarding issue, right? I can't form a children's Facebook group. What we'll tell the team to do is, among themselves, they have their own private group, right? So when somebody drops out, he can inform on the Zoom chat, they can inform on our group chat, but through the team manager or coaches, or he inform one of his teammate, and the teammate will just tell us. So that's one of it. Because some of the teammates are over 18, so they are eligible to be in a group. So for example, my captain. So some of those are the different ways of doing it. Okay? The main thing is that speed and urgency. We'll try to do it as fast as possible, and we'll tell everyone not to wait and not to be a shrinking violet and just pretend that you can hear when you don't hear anything, right? So that's detrimental to you as a judge, or you as a debater, or even as a coach. So at no point should the person be shy and not raise all these technical problems.
Yeah, and just a final quick addition. So in the event where, let's say, a speaker is presenting and their audio and video feed pauses for 20 seconds and then restarts, and it's clear that during that 20 seconds they've kept speaking and they've not realized, but the judge has noticed that it's paused, or other people have noticed that. I think at that point the chair should stop the speaker, advise them that they've lost 20 seconds of that speech, get them to give that material again, and start the timer again effectively once they've finished that. So it shouldn't be that people, if they have to repeat a small section of their speech, still have the same time applied to them. It should stop and start according to the right times. Does that make sense? So the chair would pause it, and then if the interruption started, and then start it again when it was uninterrupted, and let them go back over. Great.
Just another. Sorry. Yes.
Just one more thing to add. In fact, we're going to train the Anglo-Chinese Junior College volunteer to even remember what time is stopped and what was said, so that when the debater comes on, he or she can be prompted to say, "Oh, you were talking about this." Because we have many experience where after the person is kicked out or he's lost the audio and visual for a while, the person doesn't know where he was. So what we do is I always have problem with that coaching. So I thought, you stop at this point where you're talking about this stuff. Then okay, I got it. So we're gonna train the chair to take note of that, so that whatever is said will be a trigger for the person to continue from where they have let off, from the point they was either dropped out of the Zoom or when they were inaudible. Thanks.
I got a question about ranking. How will you rank judges after the judging test? Will there be only chairs and seats, or there will be a screen as well?
Sorry, you were a bit soft there, but I think the question you asked, and correct me if I'm wrong, is how will we rank judges after the judge test? Will there only be chairs? All right, yeah, cool. So I envision that we will do something very similar to the norm at previous WSDCs. And what happens is we will sort judges into 3 categories. So the common term for this is a C judge, B judge, and A judge. Although this is, of course, quite flexible, and judges can move between them depending on things like judge feedback. But fundamentally, what that means is there'll be these 3 judges, and we will try and make sure that every panel has a balance of all 3 types of judges. That doesn't always mean that the chair judge will be the A judge, for instance. It will be, sometimes it will be a judge who we think is we want to give them an opportunity to, or a judge who we want to evaluate a bit better. But fundamentally, that will be the approach we are taking, like it has been in previous years. It's a great question. Thank you. All right. Are there any? Oh, sorry. I cut you off. Could you say that again?
Should should we put marks on other judges or only chair will be this?
So each judge will be marking on each other as well. So again, similar to previous WSDCs.
Are there any final questions about judging, judge procedure, the judging materials? All right. Otherwise, I think it's probably a good time to end the session. And of course, for all the technical issues that you guys have raised, questions and stuff like that, those will very much be answered in the tech briefings once they come out. So hope everyone's excited for the tournament. Thank you all for being here. Mr. Lok, any concluding words on your end?
So many of you have many questions. Most of the technical briefing will be sent out as soon as possible because we're still working on it and we just finalized the schedule. So it takes a bit of time because we were waiting for people to pay up and that's why it took a while. So well, if it will come out very soon, and if it doesn't come out, just scream at us on all the Facebook group and on the Facebook page and just ask your national coaches. They're more or less informed of that. Okay? Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, can I ask a question?
Yes.
So will it be some final for the new generation teams or Octo half finals too? Or it is like just one final for everyone?
Joshua should answer that.
So I'm not quite sure if I understood you correctly. Are you asking if there's a separate break for new teams?
Yes, I think that was the question.
Yes. Will it be some separate finals for the new generation teams?
So let's have us confirm this with the conveners. I think there was talk about a new nations final being held separately. That's not usually a part of normal WSDCs, but we will confirm this and get back to you. So we definitely don't have a separate break for ESL, EFL, and so forth. But for this particular online edition, there has been some talk about a new nations final.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I think that's probably a good place to wrap it up then. Thanks very much for coming. I'm now going to stop the recording and feel free to head out and have a lovely Sunday.